From San Diego, California, this is a One Extraordinary Marriage show. Where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the Hug hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's show, we're talking about one of the most intimate and sometimes overlooked aspects of marriage, a kiss between you and your spouse.
And Audrey Hepburn had this to say about kissing. She said, I like kissing a lot. And that's really going to, in one sentence, that kind of sums up what this show is going to be about.
Yep.
But we start each and every One Extraordinary Marriage show with a hug. And a hug's an opportunity for you to hear about someone else's breakthrough in their marriage, someone's transformation, someone's growth. And this week's hug is sponsored by Open Fit. And we're going to be sharing more about how they're changing the way that we work out a little bit later in the show. But this hug actually comes from an email that we received from a soon-to-be wife.
Okay.
She said, I was introduced to your podcast about a year ago by my mom. Since then, I've been listening regularly and have found your advice to be practical and beneficial to my relationship. Something you should know is I'm not married. When my mom shared this with me, I didn't see the point since this was clearly a marriage podcast. But as I listened, I realized that so much of what you share is applicable to dating as well. The parts about sexual intimacy are being tucked away for later reference, but the rest of it has slowly worked its way into my actions and behaviors toward my boyfriend over the last year. And it has made such a difference for me and for us. We got engaged less than a month ago, and I can't wait to share this podcast and what I'm learning with him as we head into marriage this fall and build an extraordinary marriage together. Prayers are welcome as I navigate sharing without scaring him by being too enthusiastic. Thanks for your ministry, and know that you are helping to build strong future marriages as well.
Well, first off, thank you, Mom.
Yes.
Thank you, Mom, for sharing this with your daughter. How amazing you are to do that and to pour into her life that way. And for this young woman who's about to get married, hey, taking what you can use now and applying it to your relationship. And now looking at your marriage going, this is what we're going to get into. So we are going to be believing that your future husband is going to be listening because he's going to gain a lot out of it as well. So congratulations to you both on your engagement. And we're excited for what's to come on your wedding day. Please send us pictures. We love to see those.
And I just love the fact that, here's a couple that's starting with the vision of creating an extraordinary marriage. They're not just letting, it's not just about the wedding, but she's already speaking into what their future is going to hold. And I think that's just so incredibly powerful.
Yes.
And, it really actually it really ties in well to what today's topic is going to be because, a few weeks ago in our series, Our Marriage Vows, and those are the shows that come out on Thursdays.
Yes, it is.
Those are the series-based shows. Part 2, we were talking, it was about the to have and to hold. So we're talking about touch and we're talking about different touches in marriage. And Tony and I got into this conversation about kissing during that episode. And in that moment, I think even one of us said it during the episode that we said, you know what, we're going to need to do a whole show on kissing because it's not something that we've really talked about or really pulled apart, but it was such a vital part of that conversation. And we knew that we had to dig a little bit deeper. And then that got added to the fact that we received an email from another listener who said, Elisa, I've heard you say on numerous shows that you don't consider yourself to be a kisser. And then there have been all these coaching calls where people are like, I want to be kissed and I'm not being kissed. And for those of you, you probably heard us say it, once or twice or even, 10 times that whenever we believe in the power of threes in the one family. So if something comes up, 3, 4 more times, that's when we know we've got to do a show.
Right.
So here we are, we're digging into this idea of kissing. And, some of you are just like, really? We're going to talk about kissing for the next 30 minutes? We are. Because I think a lot of us, in that courtship phase, it's all about the kissing, right? We're like, whoa. And then somewhere we adopted the Julia Roberts line from Pretty Woman that says, that she's having this conversation with Richard Gere. And she said, that's why there's no kissing. It's too personal. And it is personal. I mean, you've got this other human being that is literally not even inches from your face. They are all up in your face.
And vice versa.
Yeah. I mean, but they're that close. You don't have your bubble, your personal space. It doesn't exist. They're able to read the expressions on their face. They're able to feel your body language, to see those emotions. And, in the beginning of a relationship, often that's the first connection. You might go to, to the hand holding, and then the next step is
kissing.
Kissing.
And really those fireworks start to go off, man. When you think back to those days when you first kissed your spouse, what was it like? I mean, holding their hand was special. And I remember when I got to hold Elisa's hand and walk down the street with her, how proud I was to have her there. And yet when we began to kiss, oh my goodness, like it's truly that step of like, oh my gosh, what an emotional, just fireworks going off.
Well, and that word, we asked the one family, how would you describe kissing when you were dating? And the words like fireworks and sparks and electrifying and exhilarating and hot and magical, insatiable, all of these really energized, full of emotion words came out. And it becomes that way for the two of you to connect. It's a way to get to know each other. It's, you kiss when you first see each other, like maybe you haven't seen each other all day, and you see each other and you kiss, and somebody's going home at the end of the night and you have to kiss, when the other person's leaving, and you have these deep, passionate kisses, and you have these sweet kisses. And then for a lot of couples, somewhere after the I do, it goes from these monumental, incredible, epic makeout sessions to barely brushing lips on a cheek as someone's maybe passing in the kitchen.
Yeah. For some of you, others of you kept it going. We know a number of couples who, my goodness, just talking to them just recently at our C3 marriage retreat. And some of them were just like, oh no, that is all in. That is what we do. And I just think back and I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And so when we bring up kissing, it's for you guys as much as it is for us. 22 years married, and we can talk about those passionate kisses from dating. And yet for us, we would be on that other side now. It is. It's the peck. Every once in a while, we'll get deep and passionate. It's usually that's more during lovemaking, I would say. It's not just an everyday occurrence. It wouldn't be like we're at a drive-in theater and we're not like watching the movie. I mean, for many of you, you remember those days as maybe older teenagers, or, you're in your 20s and you took your now spouse out on a date, and the ticket to get into the movie wasn't to watch the movie. It was just to sit on that front seat and make out. And so for us, this is a way for us to learn from you guys as well, and to go, hey, wait a minute. What are we going to do? How are we going to be intentional? How are we going to take action in this area of our marriage?
Absolutely. And we asked all of you on Instagram, we said, what does kissing look like in your marriage? Is it more like as a typical kiss, right? Is it more the deep, passionate, wow, fireworks, exhilarating, or is it more like the in-passing quick pack? And 77% of you say that your marriage, typical kisses in your marriage, look more like the quick pack. And so it's why we do shows like this, because who's talking about kissing? Right? I mean, maybe the teen magazines are still talking about, the best way to, kiss your boyfriend, and maybe Cosmo's got an article or two, but we have to dig into this as married couples, because kissing is one of those ways that the two of you express your physical affection for one another. And as I was explaining in this, as a response to this one guy that's like, hey, I've heard you say that you're not a kisser. And when he said those words back to me, I have to say this, because it made me realize once again the power of our words. Because over the last 9.5 years, I have said that many, many times on this show. And just like
to me
and to you, right? I've made that declaration over my life. And I'm guessing that there are a lot of you that have either said those words out loud to your spouse, or because you haven't been receiving kisses, you've spoken those words over your spouse. Well, why aren't you a kisser? Or you never kiss me, or anything like that. And I just want to say, sometimes we have to become really aware of our words. Because I did not realize how I was coming across to Tony and to all of you, the listening audience, until somebody said my words back to me.
Yeah.
And it was literally like running into a brick wall, because I said, you know what? I'm not declaring that over myself anymore. I'm not going to speak that to all of you. And so I want you, if you've been saying that, and this is a slight tangent because I didn't even have this kind of in what we were going to be talking about today, but I want you to know you need to start changing what you say. Right? Because we have the power to not be like that Julia Roberts character in Pretty Woman, to say it's too personal. I'm married to Tony. Why on earth would I not want to be personal with him?
Get up and close and personal.
Right? Why have I allowed myself to just buy into this, like, oh, you know what? I don't like, I mean, it was really fine that we're even, I'm thinking through this tonight, because last night we're sitting on the couch and at one point in time he just sticks his tongue out. And I'm like, see, it's like too much tongue. And I just got to take control of that and say, wait a minute.
But I was doing it jokingly too. So let's make sure we were, let's put the context around it.
Yeah,
it wasn't like
totally
it wasn't like I was going in for some like French kiss here and I like just stuck out my tongue like 5 inches from your face. It was more of like, hey, we're joking. We were talking about this topic. And Elisa just even giving me some revelation about where she was at and what she had been noticing as she was writing the show notes for this episode. And so that's part of the conversation we have here, and the same conversation you need to be having with your spouse. And yes, your spouse may get goofy on you. They may stick their tongue out at you and go, and whatever. It's okay, because sometimes there's an expression, there's a back and forth, there's an understanding. It's not always just like, hey, we're going to have this conversation. It's going to be perfect. And, your level of tone and timing is going to just be absolutely perfect. And mine's going to be perfect. And we're monotone and we're just rolling through. Right? We have, there's a bit of like, wait, why did you just do that? And let's talk about it. And for me, when I did that, it was just sort of like, I'm just doing what we've done in the past that has like, because it's never made any difference. Like me sticking my tongue out or trying to go in for a deep, passionate kiss with Elisa has always been one of, well, not right now. This isn't the right time. And so I've had to, okay, where are we going? And believe me, Elisa is affectionate. It's just kissing is not her main way of showing that affection. Kissing, not kissing, but hugging, definitely PDA. We can have that personal display of affection with one another. And so this is just an area we're going, well, wait a minute. We can go deeper. And sometimes I get a little goofy in there.
I like that. We can go deeper. That's definitely pun intended. And that was one of the things I explained in my response, is that while kissing has not been my primary form of affection, doesn't mean that I withhold affection.
True.
From Tony. Oh. And I'm raising my hands. There are definitely times when I wish we had video cameras in here, because I wish you guys could see it, because I am guilty of running out the door with a quick peck. I'm guilty of rolling over to fall asleep with a quick peck. Sometimes.
Same here.
Sometimes. Or just passing through the kitchen and just having this like, whatever. And when we first met, though, like Tony said, it was wow, right? And it was this
we would take drives up
Left-Hand Canyon,
and we would just sit on a side of the road there. I was trying to
or the rocks, right? I remember sitting by the creek, or up in Chautauqua Park there in Boulder, and
we would just sit there and we'd hear the running water and the sun shining on us, the summertime in Boulder, Colorado, and just making out and not a care in the world. And I think that's the thing, though, too, as I look back. I think sometimes we begin to allow everything to come on us, and we forget that, man, that this is a magical moment. And how do we get in that moment, and how do we stay in that moment with everything else that's happening? And that is a struggle for us and maybe for you. But I will say, when we are kissing, that everything else tends to shut off, because you are so personal. Like Elisa was saying, you're right there in your spouse's space.
Well, and that's actually one of the questions that I asked on Instagram stories there is, what do you want your spouse to know about kissing? And what you just said right there was actually a pretty common response, that when you kiss me, the rest of the world falls away. I don't think about those. So when you get into that like really mindset of being in the moment during a kiss, so many people want their spouses to know that when you do that, everything else, the worries, the cares, the distractions, it all melts away.
And I wonder why that is. And I mean, I guess we could look into this deeper, into the psychology of that, and even the brain activity during that moment. And we don't have that here, but I'm just thinking through that is, why is it when we kiss? Because holding hands doesn't do that. Hugging, I don't think really does that. And yet when we kiss, everything else can melt away. And there's such a tie between husband and wife in that moment?
Well, and I was going to share this a little later on, but I'll jump into it right now. It's because kissing releases a lot of those same hormones, like the serotonin and the dopamine and things like that. So it puts you into this state of pleasure, and so you can be, sort of, I don't know, if numb or oblivious.
Oblivious
to the outside world.
It's almost like sexual, when you're sexually intimate, that time of orgasm. I mean, everything else just fades away.
Yeah, you're like, I'm right here.
I'm
right
out.
Now.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting as we're talking about this, because I used all of those really energetic words, right, that people were talking about, fireworks and electrifying and insatiable. And yet when I asked the question, what does kissing look like now? A lot of those words still came up, because obviously 23% of you are still having, regularly those deep, passionate kisses. But a lot of the other words that came up were words like routine, ordinary, a chore, quick, infrequent. And because I could identify with a lot of those words, it really forced me to stop and think, am I sacrificing this connection with Tony, this ability to get into that place of, a great rush of hormones and all this wonderful stuff, because I'm distracted by other things, right? I think I'm too busy. I think I don't have time. I think this is going to turn into some kind of make out session that's going to lead to, am I putting all of these other things on what could be a couple minute make out session with Tony? Because let's face it, we don't always have time for an epic, like we did when we were dating, hour long session, because I think that it's all about me.
So here's a question though. If kissing is your way to initiate, then that can leave a signal of, are we only kissing right now for the moment, or are we taking this to the next level, which is we're going to have sex? And for that couple, that gets I don't want to say dicey, but
confusing.
It's confusing, because it's sort of like, well, the way I initiate towards you is we're going to kiss. And yet you're thinking, well, I want to really kiss you and be in that moment. And yet if I do, then you think it's going to lead to sex, which right now isn't going to happen.
Well, and I think that couple actually needs to have a conversation around kissing, and even to the point of being intentional about what kind of kissing session are we having right now.
But that can you can lose the moment right in the moment. If I go, hey, well, what kind of kissing moment are we going to have right now? That just sort of that defeats the purpose.
Well, there has to be some clarity though, because what's going to happen then, if kissing is the way that you initiate most regularly, I'm not going to say always, because you guys know how I feel about the word always. Yeah. Then, and it always leads to sex. You may have a spouse that, because they associate, if my spouse is kissing me, we're going to go to sex. They may be like, I'm not going to kiss you.
I think of code words. I remember when the kids were young, we were like, hey, let's go to the baseball game. And that was our code word to go have sex.
Right.
Which is weird, because I don't like baseball at all.
We're not baseball fans, yeah.
I mean, you grew up around baseball at least, but I'm not even a fan of baseball at all. But we would say that code word, which was enough to just go, okay, that's where we're going. So I'm wondering in this instance, is it something like a two tap is like, hey, this is just for fun. We're just going to kiss, and we know this is going to lead to more later. But I think that I agree with you. There has to be some conversation that happens, because if your main way is to initiate, that can leave you in a place of tension, especially when you just want a good makeout session. And yet you shall have kids running around. And you're not going to go have sex.
Right. And to just have clarity around that, because we need to be, as married couples, we need to be clear about what kissing is conveying to our spouse. And we need to understand how our spouses feel about kissing. If you've been getting the shutdown, if you've been getting the rejection, if you've been getting, the I don't want to, then maybe there's something that you don't know, or that your spouse doesn't know about how you feel about kissing. And I want to share some of what the one family, shared with us, because I really think that when you start to hear what kissing means to spouses, it's going to it shifted it for me. It created a different dynamic. It changed how I think about kissing. But before we do that, we just want to thank this week's sponsor, and that's OpenFit. And OpenFit is bringing you something new that makes it even easier to never miss a sweat session. They take all the complexity out of losing weight and getting fit. It's a brand new, super simple streaming surface that's going to allow you to work out from the comfort of your living room in as little as 10 minutes a day. I mean, I love it. I actually set up the iPad in our bathroom. We have a big master bathroom, and I will do everything from the 600 seconds. So for those of you that need to do the math, that's 10 minutes, or train with stunt women because it's fun and it's easy and I can do it right where I'm at. OpenFit is changing the way that we work out. And with our code 1, you can join us on a fitness journey personalized just for you. Again, you're going to use code 1 and start using OpenFit for your journey to a healthier life. Right now, during the OpenFit 30-day challenge, our listeners can get a special extended 30-day free trial membership to OpenFit, where you can lose up to 15 pounds in 30 days. All you need to do is text 1 to 30 30 30. You're going to get full access to OpenFit, all the workouts and nutrition information, totally free. Again, just text 1 to 30 30 30. Now, as I said, we asked the audience, we asked all of you, your peers, what do you want your spouse to know about kissing? And here were some of the responses. I want more kisses.
I agree with that one.
I want more than a peck.
I can agree with that one.
I like it when you kiss me.
I agree with that one.
Let's take our time.
Yes.
It means more to me than you know.
I think it's really important. I don't know if it's like that sort of like means more to me than you know, but I like that one.
I think it's that, for some people, they may think it's just like it's not that important. And so
yes.
This person or these people would want their spouse to know it is really important.
Yeah, that's that connection. That's where we get that connection. And it's what I think about when I hear that, it means more to me than you know. Then you need to know this so that you can be romancing your spouse, either be your husband or your wife, so that they're sexually ready for when you do go take it to the bedroom.
A couple others. It doesn't always have to be in the bedroom.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. Right? It doesn't always have to be associated with sex. It doesn't always have to be associated with getting out of the shower. You can, you have houses. We have a great big giant world. Yeah, go kiss everywhere.
Go outside and kiss.
We can kiss for fun.
That was what we brought up, a little earlier there. It's just some way of us connecting, but it doesn't need to lead to more.
Right. And the last one that was really significant, close your eyes and enjoy the moment with me.
I love that one. That one right there, I think really hits on our hashtag for the year, in the moment. It really does, because we're going through life, and are we going to remember these moments? And we need to. And I just want to say, interestingly enough, as Elise and I have been doing the series, Our Marriage Vows, we began to pull out some old pictures of us. And we're just looking through pictures and of our wedding day and the kids and all this stuff. And we happened upon this one picture of us. It's our first kiss as a married couple. Yes, we kissed before we got married, just as you guys
Not
have already
everybody
heard.
does. We know some of you, your first kiss was on your wedding day.
Yeah, but for us, that day was our first kiss as a married couple. And I saw that picture, and I think we posted that on Instagram, so you can go look at it. But that was pure joy of being there, going, I do, and just there, and just seeing it again, because I didn't even remember that until I saw that picture, and I looked at that picture, and I'm just like, wow, this is where I want to be when we're kissing.
And it's interesting that you say that, because I actually think back, even preparing for the show, I was thinking back to our first kiss. And our first kiss was on my 20th birthday, so June 20th, 1994. We were standing in the kitchen of Tony's friend's apartment because he had thrown me a birthday party. And I can still, it's been 25 years. I've got a ton of memories, almost 25 years. I've got a ton of memories between now and then. But I remember the look in his eyes. I remember that first kiss. And I had to start thinking, I'm like, why is that memory so strong? And it's because I was fully present. Right? I was like, oh, this is going to happen. Like, I've been waiting for this. Here we go. And I wanted him to kiss me, and I wanted to see whatever we had, where that was going to go. And I didn't take it for granted that there would be more kisses. And I wanted to express my desire to him. And we, as married couples, we can't let that go with the distractions of life. It's up to us to take responsibility for saying, how can I foster that personal connection? How can I stop speaking, like I said a few minutes ago, those words over my life, I'm not a kisser. And we've got to get to this place where we say, first and foremost, why has the kissing changed in our marriage? Right? Have there been hurts that haven't been addressed, that have been responsible for putting up walls between the two of us? Have we just gotten lazy? Like, I'm going to call it out. Some of us are just lazy in our marriages, and we're like, yeah, you know what? I'm too busy. I don't got time for this. Make time. Look at the words that you're speaking over yourself or your spouse when it comes to kissing. right? Instead of speaking all of these words of you never or I'm not, what would happen if like I'm going to challenge myself. You guys don't even have to do this. This is just me being accountable to all of you. I'm going to stop saying I'm not a kisser.
And I would say for those of you who are there, heck, DM us on Instagram and tell Elisa, like, I'm changing my language, you know, and then that way you guys can all just be going, we're going to do this together. And that's a great place for us just to hear you go, hey, we're doing it, or post it on your Instagram story and we'll make sure to share it on ours and encouraging one another. And for Elisa even. I mean, this is what family does, right? We encourage each other. We come around each other in times when we need help, even as something like this. Because so many people will just brush this off and go, it's a kiss. Who cares? And yet, what if a kiss that you start implementing now can impact your marriage for years to come? Because you're willing to go do it, not just once, not just twice, but you are willing to do it over and over and over and over again. And I'll tell you, we've seen this happen in our own lives. The intimacy lifestyle is something that we have done for 10 years. And it is why we can stand and talk about why our sexual intimacy is so great. This is the same thing that we need to look at for our kissing. Hey, 10 years from now, we're going to go back and go, it's because we challenged ourselves to look at kissing completely different than we have.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought that up because that was a thought that had just gone through my head too. If I can commit to the intimacy lifestyle, if I can say that our sexual intimacy is a priority, why am I limiting myself to pulling back or to not engaging in this particular area of intimacy? I have the ability to do this, and I need to be thinking about the benefits of kissing. We talked about all of the hormones that get released, and you know, that's just good for your brain. And then, you know, those of you that are all about, you know, exercise and working out, you use 34 muscles in your face. Like if you need a little like face lift, start kissing more. It's going to strengthen all those muscles. And let me tell you, when you get into that place of those passionate kisses, you're going to create a feeling of appreciation in the relationship. You're going to build the self-esteem in yourself and in your spouse. Like, why wouldn't we want more confidence in our relationships? Why wouldn't we want our spouses to know that they're appreciated? What can you do starting today? Maybe, this week you're going to look at the calendar. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm committing to one passionate kiss this week because it's been a long time since we've done any. So one is going to be epic compared to where we've been. Or maybe you're thinking, okay, when can I kiss my spouse? And it's going to be, I'm going to be intentional about when I get up in the morning, or when he or she leaves for work, or when he or she comes home. We can make kissing, I actually want to say, we can make kissing great again.
There he goes.
And I really, I'm going to take this challenge, you guys. I know that there was a version of Elisa that has lived in this world that was a really great kisser.
Yes, you were. And you still are.
I just have lost a little bit of my mojo.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing it back. And I want to challenge you. If kissing's been one of those areas in your marriage, it's just like anything else. You get intentional about it, you're going to see a shift. And what is that shift going to do for your marriage?
Yeah. And one thing I want to say is we got a great article called Pucker Up, the Benefits of Kissing Are Worth It. Go check that out. I'm going to have them here in the show notes for you guys because, hey, as you learn about what kissing looks like and the benefits of it, sometimes that's just enough of that little spark that goes, okay, we can do this, or I can do this. And this is why it makes a difference for us to begin kissing. It's just one of those things. And we love to hear your journeys. Honestly, hearing how you guys are taking action and being intentional in your marriage, especially around a topic such as kissing, we want to hear it. So reach out to us. You can hit us up at hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. You can visit us over on Instagram @oneextraordinarymarriage. But really this week, challenge yourself. Hey, it may be just one passionate kiss. It may be two. It may be three. I don't know what it is. But for you, choose what that's going to be and go lay it on your spouse. Maybe tell them about it. Maybe have them listen to this so you guys can have some great conversation. Or maybe you're just going to, just do it and surprise them and see what they do. You guys, we are so blessed and honored to have you part of the One family. We say that each and every week, but truly you are a blessing to us. We love you guys. Have a fantastic week. And we'll catch you next week. Love you guys.